Here. Have a couple more gigs with BathTub Orchestra coming up before the end of the year, when our repertoire will change, and probably our setup that we use in the guitar section will change a little bit. So I thought it might be fun to do a rig rundown and just document what I've been using and doing over the past 2 years or so with the songs we've been playing in BathTub Orchestra. So welcome to my rig rundown. Starting off with the guitars. So the main guitar I use for BathTub Orchestra is this Ibanez Proline 1770, which I bought brand new from City Music in Launceston, Tasmania in 1986. I call this guitar Pagan, and you can see her name on the little plate there. This is a fantastically versatile guitar, given that it is a super strat. So it gives you all the great sounds of a Stratocaster, but also has the humbucker in the bridge. It has the original Edge Floyd Rose tremolo, which I think is my favorite of all the Ibanez floating bridge systems. It has ceramic pickups, which give a very full, very, what's the word? It's a very saturated kind of sound. Compared to the Alnico type of pickups, which I really like. It also means they're quite noiseless even when you're on the Stratocaster type of settings. And of course I have these special buttons here which enable me to have a couple of different combinations, particularly splitting the humbucker here and having the neck pickup, which is typically a sound you can't get with a Super Strat, but gives you quite a Telecaster kind of sound. Compared to, if I hit the button, your typical position 4 Stratocaster kind of sound. All right, you may also notice I have a big fat late 1980s, early 90s synthesizer pickup mounted on this guitar. I don't actually use that with the orchestra, but there you go. Of course, I also have my custom-made straps from My Mum Drives a UFO, strongly recommended. The other guitars that I would typically use in BathTub Orchestra are acoustic. So you might hear this one. This is a Canadian-made guitar by La Patrie, by Seagull is the name of the company. La Patrie is the model. This is a Motif, and it's just a beautiful little parlor-shaped nylon string acoustic guitar. Very nice to play, gives a fantastic sound out of the bridge, and you can see it's a mid-90s one, very well used. I've just about worn through the front on that one. And this is my steel string guitar I would typically use. This is my Takamine Santa Fe 1995. This was, I think, the top of the line anniversary model in, 94, not 95, 94. I bought it in 95. Also owned this guitar since brand new. It has a little custom plate on here because, in fact, I have worn through the front on this guitar. I'll just get you to have a good look at that beautiful inlay on this guitar. Both of those acoustics have the pickups built in, so they're very easy to use. So getting back to the PL 1770, the main reason I use this as my workhorse #1 guitar for the orchestra is it is so versatile, and generally I don't bring another electric guitar. I might have one as a spare just in case I break a string, but otherwise this is the only guitar I need. Okay, so now to run you through what I'm running through, which is a Boss Katana 50. Again, I've chosen this for its versatility. I get a huge range of sounds out of this machine because it has modeling built in. what I also like about it is it has attenuation built in. So I can run this on a 1/2 watt mode, which is what I'm using now. You'll see it's actually quite loud, and that's actually loud enough for our rehearsals with the orchestra. However, as soon as we play live, particularly in a church or something like that, which has great acoustics, I have to run it up to 25 watt mode to be heard. And in fact, I have at one of our gigs even used it in 50 watt mode, volume way down, because the 25 was just not cutting through. And Edward, the conductor, asked me to turn it up, and luckily I had the capacity to do that. So it has 4 memory patches on this amp. So I've got 4 presets that give me my main sounds. And I have here a custom pedal made by Bright Onion Pedals that enables me to dial up those 4 presets with a foot switch. And you can see I've given them their own little custom names there. Real Love is my basic clean sound. And this is a sound that I consider to be a really good sound. It's very fat, very thick, slightly compressed. I'm going for a tape saturation kind of sound. And that again is using the pickup buttons to give me that faux Telecaster type of sound. So it's a really good thick kind of sound. The next sound that I use on quite a lot of songs is called Good Love, because it's that classic John Mayer Stratocaster type of sound that sounds great on just about everything. And yeah, I use that on plenty of tunes. Especially if you want that Stratocaster sound to cut through. The next one is named after an Eddie Van Halen sort of sound. It's the mid-80s wet, dry, wet sound that he had. I call this one When It's Love, and it's great if you want something really thick and processed and dirty. And of course, changing the pickups totally changes the character. You can get rid of the noise by splitting the pickup. Okay, the last one is called Whole Lotta Luke. I used to have Whole Lotta Love on there, big fuzz sound. But when we started doing Rosana, I needed a nice, accurate Steve Lukather kind of sound. Program this, I think it's pretty close. Uses lots of delay, lots of reverb. Fantastic for the song. All right, so those are my sounds using the Katana amp. I'll just now take you through some of the sounds that I'm getting out of the other effects that are in the chain. So if we have a look, I go into a wah pedal, and you'll see the whole thing that I've created here is a very small pedal board. We don't get a lot of stage room in BathTub Orchestra, and I wanted to get something that was light and easy to carry. So this is actually small enough to fit into a laptop bag. I have a little One Spot Pro giving me all of the power supply that I need. And a wah pedal usually takes up a fairly big footprint. Typically I would use a much bigger pedal than this, but this little Mua is fantastic for just tucking into the corner of a little board. And it's got a couple of great features. One is the touch on mode. So at the moment that's not doing anything. All I have to do is put my foot on it. You can hear it click on, and you can see that little red light come on there, and now it's ready to wah. I take it off, instantly no wah. So there's no pressure point to put that on and off, which is great. And yeah, it has a pretty good wide-ranging tremolo. You get wide-ranging wah, and you get some pretty good sounds out of it. It also has the advantage, this type of wah that's really punchy, that you can use it as a treble booster, and in this case like a latch treble booster. So if I'm stepping on it, I can really get a cut through sound. So if I want the cut, here it is, take it off, back to normal. Or wah. So that's my first pedal in the signal chain. From there I go into a Philosopher's Tone compressor. I really like this compressor because it gives you control over the treble and sustain, and you can blend nicely between the sounds. It's very handy for me to have that treble sound because sometimes you want something that doesn't have that really compressed tape compression type of tape saturation sound that I've got programmed in as that real love sound. And the compressor I'm using to brighten that up a bit. And it also gives you a lot of sustain. Okay, next in the chain is just your standard chromatic tuner, the Boss TU3. What's great about this one is put it on and you're muted. So you can tune without annoying the rest of the orchestra. Probably a little bit odd that I've got that third in my chain, but I just like to get the compression and the wah before I hit the buffer in that tuner. I don't think they're the greatest buffers in the world in those little tuners, but to me it just sounds better if I have those up front in the signal chain. Coming from there, I actually go into a TC Electronic Sub and Up, which is a fantastic pedal. Gives you a octave harmonizer above and below, which is fantastic for when I'm doubling with the bass section. Well, on this one I actually like to add a bit of wire as well. Alright, I can also, at the moment that's down with the sub right up, I can turn that down a bit and give the higher octave a sound, and you get a kind of organ effect which sounds great on single note parts where the orchestra is playing really big and full all together, like etc. And right up the top here. Alright, doesn't sound like a guitar at all anymore. Okay, then of course I have the Super Rat, which is just a nice tidy little Rat clone that gives lots of good distortion sounds that really sound like the original Rats. I own two original 1985 Rats. Well, not super original, but they are vintage, that I've owned since 1985. Again, thanks Darren, City Music. You know, just is the greatest sound to whack a bit of distortion on in the middle of a song. For instance, something like and when we get to the distorted part, and of course add a bit of compressor, and you've suddenly got a fantastic lead tone. Moving on, next in the chain, I go to a 6-band EQ, which is just a fantastic little device to have in your pedal board, because it enables you to get away with just bringing a single coil guitar, and when you need a nice P90 type sound, such as for a Beatles tune, you just whack it up to the neck pickup, put the EQ on with the mid-range pushed instead of scooped, and you're all set for something like doesn't really sound like a Stratocaster anymore. Okay, the last thing I have in my chain is a yellow fall Donna pedal, which is a very cheap £20 delay pedal. I have that because my other delay pedals are way too big to fit onto this little board. You know, analog tape pedals and that kind of stuff. This is for when I want to add an extra delay echo effect on top of what's put into the presets, and also it gives me a chance to run a delay before reverb, because in the amp all the delays are otherwise after reverb. So this goes right in up front, and this is really good. I use it in Where Are We Now, the David Bowie tune. So building into the solo, the guitars are playing. Then at the solo, kick on the delay, and we get these beautiful sheets of cascading sound. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this little rig rundown of my guitar setup with BathTub Orchestra. I look forward to seeing you in another video, or at least you seeing me, sometime soon.